everyone, I'm Lindsay Strand, and today on Sweet Talk I'm making chocolate zucchini cake. This is a great entertaining dessert. It can be made ahead, it has a secret ingredient, the zucchini, which stays extra moist, and it has my ultimate favorite topping, cream cheese frosting. So I'll start with the batter. It's all made in this bowl, which is great. It's 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. It's great if you have your flour decanted into a big jar like this, because then you're not trying to scoop out of the paper bag, which tends to get really messy. So there's some great containers out there that are airtight and keep your flour in the pantry. And then a 1/2 cup of Dutch processed cocoa powder. This gives it that really dark chocolatey flavor that we love. 1 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Right. A 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. 1 1/2 teaspoons of baking powder. 2, 3, and then 1 teaspoon of kosher salts. So now I'll give this a whisk to combine. This is a nice one because since you're not creaming the butter, you can mix the sugar right in with the dry ingredients. It's a little bit different, and I like that it's more of an old-fashioned cake that you can just stir in the bowl. Right, that looks combined. Now I'll quickly whisk 4 eggs. Just break them a little bit with your whisk first, and add in 1 stick of melted butter. This has been cooled slightly just so it's not super hot, otherwise it'll curdle your eggs. So you just break up some of these eggs here. Right. Add these into the dry ingredients with 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Chocolate and vanilla obviously play very well together, and it's really nice here. So I'll whisk this until everything's moistened. You don't want to overdo it, but just until the dry is incorporated with the eggs and the butter. And it is going to feel pretty thick because we're adding the zucchini, and the zucchini has so much moisture that it loosens the batter. So I think at this point, it will change to my spatula. All right, got to use the right tool for the right job. Something we say a lot in the test kitchen here. All right, so this is almost a dough more than a batter. I'm trying to press all of the dry in. Kind of looks like Play-Doh a little bit. One last scrape. And as I said, it's pretty thick right now. It looks like a brownie batter or a really thick dough. And now we are adding the zucchini. Here I have 2 grated zucchini, which is about 4 cups once it's grated. I just grated this on the large holes of a box cheese grater. If you have a food processor that has a grating function, that's another really great thing to do because it saves a little bit of time. This has been sitting in colander for a little bit, so it doesn't have a ton of moisture right now. But I'm just squeezing this out through the cheesecloth to make sure I remove all of that liquid. And the zucchini does keep the cake really moist, but if you have too much excess liquid in there, it won't bake properly. So you want to make sure you put some muscle in it, squeeze all of it out. You could also just press it over a fine mesh sieve if you don't want to put it into a cloth like this. And I feel like this works pretty well. It's a lot of liquid down in that bowl. All right. Now add this straight into the batter. So much pretty zucchini. All right, I'll just set that aside. And then I'm also adding 1 cup of chopped semi-sweet chocolate from a chocolate bar. It's about 5 ounces. And at first this is going to seem pretty thick, a little tough, but as the batter incorporates with the zucchini, you'll see how much it loosens up. This is a really fun application of zucchini. Zucchini is one of those really prolific summer vegetables. You could use yellow or green zucchini, whatever you find. And I know a lot of people have zucchini bread, but it's kind of fun to sneak it into a dessert because people will never guess it's there, but it does add just a special something to this cake. It's not too sweet, it's nice and chocolatey, really moist, and surprise, you get an extra serving of veggies in there while you're eating dessert. That can't hurt. You can see the batter loosened up, it's nice and shiny, has a little bit of slack to it, so that is perfect. Now I'm going to pour this into a jelly roll pan. This is a 10 by 15 jelly roll pan that's been buttered. I lined it with parchment. Just pour it right in there. Now I'll just spread this out to the edges into an even layer. A jelly roll is a little bit different than a 9x13 pan. It's a little bit thinner, it's more like a rimmed baking sheet, but it has a smaller surface area than a rimmed baking sheet. So you could always bake this in a 9x13 if that's what you have. You just want to make sure that you increase the baking time because they're going to be a little bit thicker. But I liked the way this tasted when you had a little bit of a thinner layer of cake. All right, that looks great. This is going into the oven at 350 degrees for 30 minutes until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. It's frosting time. I have everything here to make my cream cheese frosting. I pulled this out of the oven, lifted it out of the pan, and let it cool completely so that my frosting doesn't melt everywhere. But here I'm starting with 2 sticks of unsalted butter at room temperature. You want to make sure this is nice and soft so that everything comes together really easily. And I'm adding 2 blocks of room temperature cream cheese. I'm going to mix this for a while on medium-high until it's nice and fluffy. As you guys know, all right, and now on low, I'm going to add my confectioner's sugar. This is 2 1/4 cups sugar. And I just find that if you gradually add it like this, it makes for a really nice, smooth frosting. My grandma makes a really delicious zucchini bread, and that is one of my absolute favorite foods. I remember when I got my tonsils out, that was like the first solid food I could eat. For some reason, her zucchini cake, it just did the trick. It really reminds me of home, so I love making this cake. So that's it for the sugar. I'm just gonna raise the speed for a second. And then finally, I'm adding 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract. There's 1, 2, and 3. Give it one more mix. All right, this looks lovely, nice, smooth, creamy, dreamy cream cheese frosting. Now the great thing about sheet cakes is that you are just one and done. You don't have to do layers, you don't have to decorate it. It just looks beautiful and simple as a sheet cake. So that's why I think it is so great for entertaining. It's really good to feed a crowd. So just dollop this on top and smooth it to the edges. I like to do nice swoopy frosting. Use your spatula to make some nice waves. You can also use the back of a spoon if that is something that sounds good to you to add some of the waves, but I think a spatula works just fine. I kind of like having this bigger motion through the cake, some big ripples. All right, that looks really nice, I think. So you could totally eat it like this. It's delicious, it's perfect as is, but if you want to make it really beautiful and even more a little bit over the top, you can make these candied zucchini blossoms. And these really aren't too difficult. If you can find zucchini blossoms, this is what they look like at the market. Sometimes you find them attached to the end of a zucchini. I find them at my market in a box. They have, I think, about 12 zucchini blossoms to a box. And what I did was I sliced the zucchini blossom in half and removed the little stamen in the middle. And then I lightly tossed them in just a little bit of oil, just so they're a little bit slick, and then tossed them in sugar, laid them out onto a silpat on a rimmed baking sheet, and I baked them in a low oven, 275 degrees. And you want to flip them. That's the big trick, is that you want to flip them every 5 minutes or so until they're nice, dry, crisp, and what you get at the end is this beautiful candied zucchini blossom. So I'm just going to sprinkle these down the center of my cake. And these have a really great crisp crunch to them. Just like that. I think that's really pretty. I think your guests will absolutely love this. So I'm just gonna sneak a little bit of the corner right now. I think normally I would do a pretty big slice since it's a thin cake, but just for me, I'll do something a little bit smaller. This is such a nice not too sweet cake, which I really like. It's kind of like your grown-up chocolate cake. You have this not too sweet chocolate cake. It has those little bits of semi-sweet chocolate in it. You have that rich, creamy cream cheese frosting. This is my ideal way to end an evening. I gotta try this. Looks so good. I'm telling you, you would never know there's zucchini in this cake. It tastes like pure chocolate. Make it for your friends and family. See if they can tell. I think you're really gonna love this one. Enjoy. If you're enjoying this video, be sure to like, subscribe. We have so many great, fun videos on the Everyday Food channel.